Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the men's room.
Hey, away we go. Welcome to show number 2,880. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Ted Smith, Robin Fox, and my cock, Montgomery. And you are in the men's room. On tap today from ESPN, Kenny Mayne joins us to talk runfreely.org. What you don't need to know, the hangover edition. Get ready to play Profile This. Plus headlines, the men's room shot of the day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorites, TV Time with Tay. All right, here we go. South Carolina woman does her best job at making white people look like crap. We head to Minnesota where a cop finds a man with a head on a woman's lap and not taking a nap. Hobby Sig Bagel leads to an unfortunate positive test for opioid use. A massive hailstorm in Colorado kills 2 animals at a zoo, a duck and a goose. And a 9-year-old has his lemonade stand robbed at gunpoint. In North Carolina, a 9-year-old kid. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right. Look, there's nothing wrong with being naked. But you can't just be naked anywhere, and you still have to have a little respect for those people around you, all right? Case in point, a group of nudists in Hawaii, they're being evicted from the rental home, and not for being naked, that was known in advance, but because they suck at being neighbors. One example is when they accidentally blew up a neighbor's car. Just let that sink in for a second. They had a fire, their neighbor's car blew up. At that point, naked or not, you gotta go. We go to Houston, Texas. A man there, he learned the hard way that you need to keep your genitalia to yourself unless people want to see it. Long story short, he was shot in the chest because he wouldn't stop masturbating in front of an old woman who made it clear that she did not care to see his noodle. Then there's the story of one David McClure. His situation, mild as it might be, is certainly starting to compound. Now, he lives in British Columbia, Canada. But he visited Seattle to take in a Mariners game. But then he got naked and he streaked the game. His buddies bet him $80. He had alcohol. What the hell? Not the worst thing you could do, but here's the thing. After he got arrested, this stuff makes its way back up to Canada, but he's actually an Irish citizen who's living in British Columbia on a visa. And the way Canada rolls, there's a chance that, depending on the level of conviction he gets here, he might end up getting deported back to Ireland, which is not the worst place to have to go. It's just the point that, again, you got naked for $80 and you get deported. Damn. Yeah. Because, again, there's nothing wrong with being naked as long as people are cool with you being naked. It's just one of those things. But listen, sometimes people are naked and we just don't know why. Sometimes it was you. Sometimes it was someone else. But this is what we want to know today. What is your naked story?
Be part of the big show. Call 844-999-OLA. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to the Men's Room at mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Hold the jaws and away we go. Welcome to show number 2,880. What a large and charge program do we have for you today from ESPN. Kenny Mayne joins us to talk about runfreely.org. Kenny Mayne, been on the show a few times before, and
so his dreams come true. The ESPN thing didn't do it for him.
He's still doing the Sports Center thing and all that stuff, but Kenny is doing some good, and he always has. He's doing some charity stuff for a organization called runfreely.org.
I mean, I know what you're saying, and look, in principle, what he's doing is spectacular. But I always go back to this one thing, and I stand by this, maybe because I'm lazy. But, when you do something charitable, my end game is that you don't have to do much. So I understand what he's doing, and trust me, if mobility is a problem, what he's doing is a tremendous thing. But why does it always have to be running? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you don't want to do the Columbia Tower?
You just do some good?
Well,
and hey, man, I don't want to run.
This is
I'm not like Robin and Lovett.
Well, this is in this device that he and his wife and their organization. What it does is, some veterans have a difficult time getting around.
Right.
This device actually braces and supports their legs so they can be mobile, they can get around if they want to run, if they want to walk.
No, but he keeps saying run. I'm like, hey, man.
That could be walking.
That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Well, he hadn't been able to run and it's probably since college until he put this thing on. So it's a big deal, and it's going to a great cause. So Kenny Mayne coming up to talk about, and trust me, we'll probably talk about runfreely.org for about 5 minutes, and then Kenny will go off on Pearl Jam for about 3 hours. So
is he a big fan of Pearl Jam?
Oh, yeah. You kidding me? So, and what a day to be in, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. What you don't need to know, the Hangover Edition. They did a study to find out what alcohols out there give you the worst hangovers, and we'll bring you that information coming up along with the alcohols that will make your next day feel a hell of a lot better. Profile this coming up, and we'll drink a toast with a shot of the day. And, of course, our question today, what is your naked story? For some reason, and I don't know if it's the heat, I don't know what's going on.
Heat goes a long way, man.
But there have been a number of stories about people just getting naked. This one is what we'll lead with today. Headline says a grandma shot a bicyclist who was masturbating and attempting to enter her Houston home. Some guy pulled off his pants and pulled his pants open, played with his thingy, and he ran up and I told him to get away from my door, I'll shoot him. That according to Grandma Jean.
Now keep in mind, this is Houston, Texas. So when somebody there says, I'll shoot you, like that's not a joke. They will shoot you.
The 69-year-old grandma opened fire. She did shoot at the man, attempting to enter her Houston home after she yelled at him to stop masturbating in public.
Do you need to be told that?
Grandma Jean was taking out her trash when she spotted the masturbating bicyclist riding down the street.
Wait, he's riding down the street masturbating.
That is, I've seen people ride without hands, but with all the vigorousness
right,
and
but
stuff
they're
like
not masturbating.
Exactly.
They're just, to be fair.
Maybe he takes it slow.
I like that he can multitask. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's something to be said. If I'm a prospective employer, he's weird, but he can do two things at once.
She yelled at him to stop and leave, according to a police spokesman who told BuzzFeed News that the two got into an argument, and he came up to Grandma Jean's driveway while continuing to expose himself. Some guy, she said, quote, pulled his pants wide open, and was playing with his thing. The man continued walking toward her, reaching for the front door. Grandma Jean had her young grandchildren in the house at the time. Uh-oh. She did fire her gun, striking the man once. Quote, I don't bother nobody. I don't get in nobody's business. It's just me and him, and I kept saying, I warned him. The man attempted to get on his bike again, but collapsed. He was transported to a local hospital where he is expected to survive. I would have done the same thing if it were my house, according to an unidentified neighbor. Ain't no telling what else he was going to do when he got in there. She was protecting her property. It is unclear if Grandma Jean will face any charges. More than likely, though, she will not.
I got a couple of problems with this guy, and none of them are the fact that he's masturbating while riding a bike. One, if someone asks you to stop masturbating publicly, I can't believe you have the gall to then have an argument with him. Like they're saying, what she said is, hey, can you not masturbate in public? And certainly not in my yard. There's nothing to argue. You say, you know what, man, I see your point. You're probably right. Let me put this away. That's number one. Two, at what point do you think that trying to open someone's door when they know you're masturbating, does any part of you honestly think they're going to open the door and be like, you know what, come on in. Yep. These are good times. But what are you arguing about? She said, stop masturbating in my yard. What is your argument back? This is a free country. I can do it anywhere I want. Mm-hmm.
We all let you go.
I mean, you're already driving around masturbating.
I know, but why?
On a bicycle.
Is there a better way?
What, right. What, bicycles, baseball, apple pie? What's more, American than baseball, right? You take your kids to a baseball game. You want to have a good time, okay? Mm-hmm. U.S. authorities say a Vancouver, British Columbia resident who ran naked onto a baseball field during a Mariners game in Seattle is set to appear in King County courtroom to face a criminal trespass charge. The city attorney's office says that David McClure was charged after the incident took place at Saturday's game between the Blue Jays and the Mariners. McClure could face bigger problems than that. Sports Illustrated reports that he is an Irish citizen living in British Columbia, so he could be deported from Canada over the incident.
This is what I'm saying. Like, this has become a much bigger problem for him.
The Irishman reportedly went streaking after his buddies bet him how many American dollars?
I already read it.
American dollars, Dad.
Yeah, $80.
$80. Wow.
I kind of like him for that, though.
He was naked. I mean, he was all the way naked. He was eventually tackled by a security guard, which I'm sure was not fun for the security guard to tackle a naked man.
And this is probably why I don't work security at any kind of sporting event, but if you are naked, you will most certainly run by me.
His friends who bet him, they set up a GoFundMe page. As of last night, it had no money. It didn't even raise $1.
Not a single dollar.
Seattle City Attorney's Office spokesman Dan Nolde says authorities decided not to file an indecent exposure charge. He said that charge is typically made when an alleged sexual element is involved. He was released.
He got lucky on that. Now think about this. They hit him on the criminal trespass because, in case you did not know, during an actual sporting event, running through the action, right, not permitted. The fact that they didn't get him on the indecent thing, they did him a favor.
And I don't know, man.
They really did.
If you live in a city that is close to the border of Canada, keep in mind that Canada has one Major League Baseball team since the Expos are now the Nationals. They have the Toronto Blue Jays. And when you go to Canada, when you're watching the CBC, every single Toronto Blue Jay game is shown. Sure. It's always on. So obviously the national team, the team of Canada, is the Blue Jays. When you go to a game like that, you're basically streaking in front of the entire country of Canada because they are all here to watch this game. You know what I mean?
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable how many Canadians.
Yeah, last summer I asked somebody, I was like, what, you guys all come down from Toronto? And he's like, no, man, we're just Canadian, so it's our team.
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
it's that easy.
All right.
But
if we had one soccer team in the Premier League, like just as a guarantee,
I was having this
everybody
conversation.
here is going to love that team.
Right, I had this conversation just last week. I was like, yeah, if there's only one American team, I'm going to cheer for
Okay, but so I come down from Canada, all right? I go to a baseball game in the United States.
Yeah.
As soon as I sat down with my family, the first thing I see is some guy running naked on the field. What is the first thing in my thought? These crazy Americans.
But it's not. And the thing is,
but when you think that, you don't have an ID on your
you would
naked body
absolutely
that says
think
that I'm a loony.
And then when I read that the guy came down from BC for some reason, I thought to myself, I don't know why, but I thought, I can see that from Canada, right? Mm-hmm. But then you continue to read, because it's their national team, I get it. But then you continue to read, and it sounds dumb, but I go, oh, the guy's from Ireland. Then it made absolute sense. So when you put it together, I'm not shocked that a drunk Irish guy got naked and ran through anywhere. It's all the spirit and have fun. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if a Canadian guy did it. It wouldn't surprise me if an American guy did it. So the fact that an Irish guy who lives in Canada came to America to streak, I'm like, really, it's kind of perfect.
But it also, and maybe I'm completely wrong about this, but I get the feeling it just in the Canadian way that if you're at I don't know, Whitecaps, right? You're in a Whitecaps match, somebody streaks the field there, like, hey buddy, you got to put your clothes on. Come on now, man. Like, we got to get you off the field. Get back in your seat and enjoy yourself. You know, like, it wouldn't be like.
But I mean, streaking's just one of those things that it's done everywhere.
It's inevitable.
It's a sporting event, like, it's a streaker.
But I really feel like, because you're right, no one is shocked when there's a streaker. You might be shocked that you happen to be at the game, but if you hear about it on the news, you're like, right. So I feel like if you're a streaker, knowing that it's not the worst thing you could do, but like, you should have a time limit. All right? So it's like, look, you went streaking. Inevitably, these guys are going to tackle you, and we get that you're running around trying to avoid it. But if we said, all right, you got 15 seconds to do your thing, if you could actually just go back up to your seat after that, I'd be like, this is fine. The problem is once you get on the field, you don't leave the field, so you're breaking up the action. But to be a streaker itself is not shocking. So it should be like, look, if you want to avoid a criminal charge, you got 15 seconds and then get the hell off the field. After that, they're going to beat the hell out of you, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm not saying you should streak.
You shouldn't. But we know what's going to happen.
It's one of those things. Like, you have a major sporting event, not even a major one. You just got a sporting event.
Sporting event. I mean,
I remember going to a football game when I was a kid, and the University of Maryland played Florida State.
Uh-huh.
And Florida State almost hung 70 points on them, which in college football is a lot of scoring.
It's a lot.
Highlight of the game was a drunk Maryland fan that ran the whole length of the field.
Naked.
He wasn't naked, but it was still the highlight of the game.
But think about it like this.
Maryland never made it that into the field.
And this is a really sad story. We got Kenny Mayne coming in later today. But think about it like this. If you're watching ESPN and it's a game that's meaningless, it's toward the end of the season, neither team's going to the playoffs. If there's a streaker, it's a highlight.
It should be, but it's not. It's not during the game because they say, like, we don't want to encourage this type of behavior.
Of course you don't want to encourage it.
So they never air it when it happens, but they'll air it after the fact.
But that's the whole thing.
But you're still airing it.
So with this guy, I don't know, man. Make him do a day or two in our jail system or something.
He did a night.
He did a night, like, because you got to punish them so they don't do it. But, like, does he have to get Like, if he lives in Canada, does he have to go back to Ireland now?
Right. Well, it's the problem because Canada has the different set of rules, man. So
yeah, and it's alcohol.
It's alcohol, and I don't know if it's worse for him because from Canada's point of view, like, you didn't do it in Canada where we've accepted that you're living. You went to a foreign country, no matter how close the relationship, but you went to a foreign country to do this. And then you're going to come back to our country, like, but don't send them back to Ireland. This just isn't the offense.
But one thing is inherently true. He's not a Canadian citizen.
Right.
If you are a Canadian citizen, obviously you're going to get some leniency in Canada. But when you're not, it's like anything else. If you have a DUI, you can't get into Canada. They're very difficult about who can get in, depending on, So if you're not a citizen, their rules are. I don't think it's unreasonable. I just, you normally, if you're traveling anywhere else, like, I've never heard, like, hey man, you can't go to Spain if you got a DUI. Maybe that's true. I don't know, but I've never heard that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like Canada has those rules that are just hard rules, and that's the way it is.
But now, let me ask you this, and I don't know this. So, but if you're coming from the States and going to Canada, I would say 50% of the people that go are driving. Is there anything behind? So, in other words, if I fly into Canada, do I still have the same? If I'm not going to, because if I'm driving in, they know I'm driving.
I don't know. How do they know? Is it your passport?
It's just if it's on your record.
Yeah.
It's a felony up there.
Yeah, so they run your stuff.
They don't run your but they do run your stuff, don't they? Or do they just look at it and go, you're good?
It just depends. Because I know people that have been through before and been fined. They have one in their past, and then they went through like a fifth time and got caught.
But see, now, remember this when your buddies tell you their version of understanding legal things. Like anything, if they don't run it, then they're not going to know unless you tell them. But you don't know if they're going to run it or not. So you get a lot of people, I have a DUI, they let me in. It's like they didn't run your information, right?
Yeah.
If they do run it, it's like your fingerprints, right? Oh, you left your fingerprints at the scene. Well, if you're not in the system, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's why I don't leave my fingerprints anywhere. I think I'm in the system.
Our question today is, what is your naked story? 844-999-OLA.
Not 100%, but I'm like, I just don't commit crime. You're in the same boat, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so
like my friends are in the system.
Yeah, so now we're not going to do anything. Yeah. You ruined the fun. But that easy.
I can do whatever I want.
Yes, you can. Miles, go ahead, knock it out.
I think we proved that.
There was a guy actually years ago, I want to say like he sanded his fingerprints or something like this. But part of the reason they busted him, because they said, yeah, but also you're the only person we've ever seen that doesn't have fingerprints. So we have your finger smudges. But everyone else that we've talked to, every other suspect has fingerprints. So basically you got busted because you're the only person that could have left the lack of fingerprints that you left.
What if you drop everything?
What do you mean?
After you file off your, because there's a reason that you have the grips on there, man.
Yeah, to me it's to be incarcerated. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
You sound like Butterfingers.
Right, exactly. Just like he just drops everything. Oh, he doesn't have any fingerprints.
Hello, Ethan. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey.
Hola.
Hola. I got a naked story for you.
Excellent.
So about a couple months ago, 2.5, 3 months ago, I staying with my girlfriend out on the Key Peninsula. She, her roommate would leave for 2 weeks at a time to an oil rig job or whatever. So I was staying with her, and I wake up at like maybe 2:30 in the morning, and I hear this loud beeping, and I'm like thinking, sound like a garbage truck. But then I thought about it and was like, what is a garbage truck doing? It's way out here in the middle of the sticks at 2:30 in the morning. So I wake up, I get out of bed, and I open the bedroom door, and just all the smoke just wafts into the room. And so I run downstairs, and the toaster is entirely engulfed in flames, just on fire, under the cabinet, lighting the cabinet on fire. So I'm running around grabbing, looking for a fire extinguisher, and the one I found was dead. So my girlfriend comes up, and she has one behind me, and she puts the thing out, and we're standing there like, geez, that was insane. Like, why in the world did that just happen? And then she looked down, she goes, babe, you're naked. I'm standing there in the middle of the kitchen, but just filled with smoke, and things swinging around, not
they didn't do anything like even singe your pubes. I mean, like after you realize you're naked, you kind of take inventory.
I burned my hands. I don't think I burned my pubes or nothing.
Okay.
Thank God.
I think you would know. You would definitely smell it.
I would have known.
Yeah. But in an emergency, when I was a little kid, like 7 or 8, we had very close neighbors next to us, and the father, I guess, he would come to seizures. And there was a night where, I don't remember, it's like 4 a.m. or something, but I kind of hear my parents answer the phone, they freak out, and they run to the neighbor's house. So my brother and I are looking through my bedroom window, and finally an ambulance shows up, and we're too young to really understand what's going on, but he has kids, all this stuff. So my parents come back and kind of explain, because we were close to this guy, and said, look, he has seizures, and like he's biting down on his tongue, all the regular stuff. So his wife had called over to my parents to kind of help out. A couple of days go by, and we're asking about him, and I'm trying to get a sense of what it is to have a seizure, why you're biting your tongue. And my mother's kind of explaining it. I'm like, so what did you do? And she said, I'm going to be honest with you. Your father kind of took charge, had a better idea of what to do. But me and the guy's wife had to hold him down. And he's a big dude. And she's like, look, he doesn't know what's going on. She goes, it was kind of weird. He sleeps naked. I was like, so my mother's like, you try to ignore these things, and it is.
Try to ignore it.
It's a situation, but he's kind of flailing around. So she's like, when we get there, this rather corpulent individual, she's like, he's butt naked. And she's like, I just couldn't help but notice. But every time he thrashed, she's like, this little thing kept slapping back and forth, and it's like, she's like, we just wanted to. So even as a kid, I'm thinking, you're trying to save your best friend's life, but you're distracted by his penis bouncing back and forth. But after that, so he ended up being fine. But after that, the guy, and even jokingly said, like, he now sleeps in shorts.
Just in case.
Yeah, because he said, thank you guys thank you for the help, but he could not get past the fact, it's like, your mother's seen my penis. I'm like, oh, she told me.
Yeah, as well as you know somebody, you don't need to see the private.
Yeah, man.
Coming up on the program from ESPN Sports Center, Kenny Mayne joins us. Our question, what is your naked story? 844-999-OLA. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitches. You're listening to the Men's Room.
Cops in Mankato, Minnesota, got a call on Saturday around 9:15 about a couple who appeared to be having sex in their van in a Walmart parking lot. And when the cops got there, the van was a-rockin', but they went a-knockin' anyway. They found 32-year-old woman named Chantel Nee in the driver's seat with her pants down, and her 32-year-old husband, Frank Nee, leaning over from the passenger seat, hooking her up there, and his pants were down too. Now
Canyon yodeling?
Yeah. Here's a twist. Even though Frank and Chantel are married, they've had a lot of problems, and Chantel even has a court order that bans Frank from having any contact with her.
That's some real contact.
That's a special kind of contact order. Or I guess they have some, So
how does that work, though? If she is agreeable to me making contact, will they overlook it, or
maybe they are reconciling? Who knows? Anyway,
they're reconciling, Miles.
Sure they are.
I mean, at that point,
yeah, they were both arrested for indecent exposure. Chantel is also facing a charge for impaired driving, and Frank is facing a charge for violating that court order. Our question: what is your naked story? 844-999-OLA.
Quick comment here. I always appreciate this one. It says, I sent my buddy a picture of my entertainment center that I had for sale. I just woken up when I took the picture, so I didn't think about my naked reflection in the TV. The standing joke to this day is he didn't realize the entertainment package was included.
I def.
Hello, Ariel. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola, Bichola.
Hola.
How are you guys? Hi, Ted.
Oh, boy. I already sending the love to
Hi,
Ted.
guys.
How are you?
I'm good. You guys may remember me. I called in about a year ago. I'm the hippie chick who went to Catholic girls' school, and I couldn't stop tripping the morning through my math class. So my naked story has it's around the same timeline, around the sort of late 90s, and I was touring with Fish and doing the whole hippie thing. So I went to a bunch of concerts, and we all wore sort of patchwork dresses with ribbons and all kinds of dumb stuff on it, and we got a little lazy, and I started using fabric glue rather than taking the time to actually sew my dresses together, like most hardworking hippies would do. And I remember, I think I was in maybe Camden, New Jersey, and it started to sprinkle. And so, I'm thinking, no big deal, dancing around, of course, bounce around the room. And it starts to rain a little bit harder, and I realized that my dress is now coming apart because it's only held together with this fabric glue. So very quickly on my way to the parking lot, my dress has come into absolutely nothing, and I'm basically holding together a piece of ribbon and running for my life towards the car.
And then what do you do? So you get to the car, do you just miss the rest of the show naked in a car? Or can you fix your dress? What?
Luckily, it rained towards the end of the end of the show, like the later part of the show. So I kind of just ran back to the car, and I was going to change and then go back. But at that point, everybody was coming out. But
Ariel, how old were you when this happened?
Let's see. So it was like 90. 98, so I was 17.
17
Yeah,
years
then
old.
you got to get out of there.
Yeah, you really do.
I mean, that's it, right? You got to get out of there.
You were touring
Yeah,
with Fish when you were 17 years old? Did you run away from home or what?
No, they always toured in the summertime, so I was the one that always had the big Buick to fit 15 of my friends in there, and so we would just go and see all of these hippie shows. And I just remember, I had one ribbon, Cher on the Battleship. I had one ribbon held. And just running for dear life, and everybody, of course, is hooting and hollering, and I'm just like, oh, dear Lord, just let me get it, to my car.
And why is it always a Buick? I go to a lot of festivals. You might see a group of hippies, they roll up in a Buick. It's never a Cadillac or something. It's always a Buick.
Is it?
And I don't know. I feel like somewhere along the line, somebody's grandma just gave it to somebody.
I think that's it.
We're keeping it.
And it's a big car.
And once you get in there, you're like, this is actually all right. It's got plenty of room.
Oh, for sure. It was a Buick Riviera in 1976. So, I mean, literally, it was the Queen Mary. It could
that
fit,
is a huge car.
It was a huge car.
What do you do for a living now?
I plead the fifth a little bit on my incriminating background, but I work in the wine business.
You work in the wine business?
Oh, nice.
That makes sense, man. No,
What do you do?
I work for a tasting room, and I'm a sommelier.
Oh, really? So you went to school?
Sommelier.
You did the whole deal?
I'm a sommelier. Yes, I'm a professional wine snob.
Yeah, so do you have to go to school to be a professional wine
Oh, yeah,
snob?
absolutely. To be a sommelier,
You do. It's no joke. Yeah, you absolutely do.
And is it something that pays well? I mean, I know what it is, but I just don't know much about it beyond that.
Yes and no. If you find your dream job and you really love sort of being buttoned up in white gloves and pouring wine and talking extensively about, vintage and cuvées and, yada, 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 then yes, you're
Give me perfect. So in other words, no, but I like my job.
That sounds terrible.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.